Good evening. Welcome to another episode of XA Talk Show. So today I'm going to talk about JavaScript, Golang, and maybe some Emacs and other stuff. So let's put the date here correctly and stuff and stuff. That's right. Just stuff. Select all, paste. Tab, select all. That's good. Okay, let's pop this out. Pop out chat. And let's go back to my Emacs. And that's good. Okay, mention pay me. So, if you like my show, go to xali.info. Okay, so you see a Patreon, Amazon gift card, and PayPal, and Bitcoin that is supposed to, advance humanity to be so that we are free. So if you like my stuff, put your money there. Thank you. Okay, then we're gonna talk about JavaScript, Golang, and some Emacs and stuff. Okay, mention pay me, XA Talk Show. Yeah, XA Talk Show is the page you are looking at, which is that one. It's on my website. And we're gonna, let's see, are we here yet? Is people coming in yet? For watching. Fantastic. 4 people. Say hi. So, okay, we're gonna start then. I'm gonna just start to talk about JavaScript. Some JavaScript stuff. Then Scott, a friend, asked me to maybe we talk about Golang. Golang is a wonderful language, one of the latest great language. Okay, I'm gonna show you this. Okay, let me show you this. This is prologue. Okay, this is the today's prologue to XA Talk Show. Let me turn on the volume up so you can hear it. Okay, I hope you can hear it. Now, let's see.
Мне посоветовали, что если я скажу скороговорку с буквой «Р», то я точно хайпану. Посмотрим. Бронетранспортер, фрижератор, радиорепродуктор, опер-квартирмейстер, интерьер, экстерьер, терьер. Мне посоветовали, что если я скажу скороговорку с буквой «Р», то я точно хайпану. Посмотрим. Бронетранспортер, фрижератор, радиорепродуктор, опер-квартирмейстер, интерьер, экстерьер, терьер.
That's Russian. Well, I suppose it is Russian. So I asked people, someone to show me what she says, and she said these. And the Google Translate says I was advised that if I said the pattern with the letter P, Russian P, that is supposed to pronounce like R, okay, then I'm sure to be a hypan. I'm not sure what that means. Then she said, we'll see. Armored personnel carrier, refrigerator, radio reproducer, interior master, interior, exterior, terrier. Then, hey Danielle, how's it going? So are we here yet? 6 people watching. Say something, okay? So anyway, this she is on TikTok. Now there's a new social website called TikTok. That's from China. That's quite fascinating because in USA, well, most social networks are built by USA. The Silicon Valley, California, GAN. Okay, progressives. We they are known as progressives, because well, anyway, it's supposed. I mean, the philosophy is progress. Of course, everyone wants progress, but the progressive, is kind of a part of the political let's say philosophy. So the progressive meaning it's specific. They mean that they want to push. Basically, that like they like to change. They prefer change instead of, you know, uh, the opposite is conservative. Conservative is like, I mean, yeah, of course we need to, the world always need to have change, but be careful, slowly, you know, that's why they are conservative. So the progressive philosophy is like they are more aggressive about change. In fact, actually, that all the major changes in society in the whole history of humanity, okay, and those major changes are always brought about by technology. Okay, so it is actually technology that changes society, how we work, how we function, the social structure, countries, come and go. That's technology. So we have industrial revolution, starting with engines and trains, and industrial machinery, and then we got chimneys, huge chimneys blowing out smoke that pollutes the air. Then we got that's industrial revolution, and today we have digital digital age, and AI. The society is changing so fast that okay, is anyone here? Hello, hi guys, say something. Can you guys hear me? Because yesterday I did a video where I talked for 40 minutes and it's silent because I forgot to turn on the microphone is like turned off. Oh, this should be off. Hey Norman, great to see you. So yeah, so I was talking about change and technology and progressive. But anyways, so yeah, there's a new social network called TikTok. That's quite interesting. It's actually from China. Uh, China is like getting amazing. Like every day I see things. I started to follow some Twitter accounts from China. Some of them are like official. China is like centralized. As opposed to American. Okay, like democracy. We need democracy every day. Democracy, this and that. But China is China, the country, the nation, the history has always been like um, as far as government control is almost always central, centralized, like one king, one leader that rules the country. And there are good times and there are bad times. But anyway, the democracy, the concept of democracy, okay, is actually Western concept. So it doesn't. It's like it doesn't almost doesn't exist in China or in the Far East. The entire Asia, more or less. Okay, the Japan, Korea, and all the other countries. I mean, the center is China because China is the oldest, and kind of the Chinese culture and thought and philosophy kind of spread out. So basically, you could say the whole Asia is like China philosophy and thoughts. So anyway, um, well, I mean that's just a fact, okay? But also India. India is also Asian. India is kind of they don't call India as Far East. India is like kind of like I'm not sure what's a proper term for the region of India. South Asia. No, I don't think that's maybe South Asia. But anyway, India is also Asian. The Buddhism came from India. It spread to China. But anyway, so what I was saying, yeah, China, historically and the philosophy always just have one ruler, and so yeah, I was saying democracy is kind of the Western philosophy, but in Asia you have like different. You don't have that philosophy. You have more. You have other kind of like in Western society, you are mostly focused on hi, Jonathan. In Western society, you mostly have Okay, you have like democracy, you have freedom, freedom of individuals. Okay, not other thing. Freedom, like individualism. You have concerns about justice and rape, like rape every day. Rape. The concept of rape in Western societies since the ancient Greeks. The since Rome and before Rome, the Greeks. They have raped Zeus. The god Zeus. He raped everyone, every girl and nymphs. So, anyways, so these are Western society concepts. Justice, individual freedom. I mean, it's Asian. It's where the Western society sprung up. They revolve around this concept, and also very kind of like materialism and or code logic or physics, like or math. Uh, in Western society and Western languages, I mean everything. I mean, like you have concepts like precision, logic. Reason. The concept of reason. Is it reasonable, like or rational? Um, so these are kind of the Western society's philosophy, where the Western society floundered. Did I get the word right? Flounder, not to be confused with founder. I think founder is when a ship sinks. Flourish. I forgot what's. Maybe I wrote. Did I use a wrong word? Flounder. But I meant to. Yeah. I mean, is it incorrect or correct? Let's see. Flounder. That's probably wrong. It's in enter it. Anyway, so I was saying talking about Western society, correct? Oh, okay. Okay, let me check quickly, because I wasn't. I want to. I mean, I don't mean sink. I mean like flourish. Uh, the Merriam-Webster is the worst dictionary. Never use Merriam-Webster. I can tell you, because I'm an expert of dictionaries. Never, use Merriam-Webster. Webster is a general name, but Merriam-Webster is one specific dictionary. You never want to use because mostly because the Merriam-Webster you see online and you see everywhere in bookstores. They are like actually they are abridged collegiate, so-called collegiate dictionary, and it's one of the worst. Okay, I think I used the flounder the word wrong. I mean flourish. Okay, yeah. So anyway, um, um, so the Western society. Yeah, I was talking about Western philosophy. Then yeah. But the Asian philosophy, for example, logic, reason, rationality. Okay, these concepts are entirely foreign. I mean, they are Western thought. But it doesn't mean like Chinese doesn't build ships or technology. Of course, China is known for the leader of technology up to 1600s or 1800. They build astronomy. The most advanced in the world. At the time. But however, this concept, rationality, reason, logic, it's like they almost doesn't exist in Chinese philosophy, and also okay, so you don't have the Western thought of freedom, like individualism, like you emphasize individual, and like in America, for example, you talk about that every day. I mean, all these concepts you talk about every day. Oh, we need freedom. Oh, individual freedom. Oh, journalism is free speech and this or that. Yeah, and justice, yeah, and then we have now the social justice scan. They talk about their justice, So these are Western philosophy, but China, they don't have that. I mean, it's just different philosophy. You don't have that. You don't have, you know, freedom, and you don't have individualism. You have of course, but I mean, it doesn't mean that, oh, all Chinese likes to be controlled, like to be slave. I mean, so it doesn't mean that, but you don't the thought, the concept of freedom, just like it's not in the culture. It's almost like it doesn't exist. And the same thing with logic and reason and stuff. So, for example, as opposed to individualism, the Chinese, they focus more on like family, family oriented kind of philosophy or life. Okay, for example, you always respect the elders. Okay, you respect. First of all, you have family. You have elders, or maybe outside of your family, people older than you, and then you have ancestors. Your dad, your granddad, your dad's dad, dad's dad, dad. They died, of course. You always have a strong respect for them. I mean, it's in the culture. Everyone do that. So you respect your parents the foremost. Then they respect the uh, their ancestors, your ancestors, whoever, your last generation or before. And you also, for example, in siblings, your sisters or brothers in Chinese. I mean, it's even part of the language. In fact, lots of cultures and thinking, you can see it's built into the language itself. For example, in Chinese, sibling, you have brothers, but actually, so you have the word brother, but actually we have word like elder brother and younger brother. It's always, you don't just say brother. It's like there's a general term that means all brother and all sisters, but you don't say that. I mean, in average daily use, you have elder brother, a word, okay, for elder brother, a word for younger brother, a word for older sister, a word for younger sister. And the younger one always need to, like, it's part of the culture. You respect the elder brothers or sisters. So anyways, so that's Chinese. So I mean, so it's just different. So so where did we get into this topic? Where did I start to? Um, I was talking about this girl. Yeah, oh, TikTok. Okay, so TikTok is a new social platform. It's like Twitter, it's like Instagram, this kind of thing. But it originated from China. Yes, China. You got so many things going on today. I mean, I'm really amazed. Because I grew up in USA as an adult. Since I left my country, Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I left my country when I was 14 years old. So I lived in South America for a year, Canada for 3 years, and I came to USA in 1989 when I was 21 years old, 20 or 21, 1989. Okay, then in California. So you could say since I'm an adult, all my I live in U.S. So but I do have Chinese roots. So you see, this is interesting because if I grew up in USA, since maybe 4 years old, or if I was or born in USA, then even I look like Chinese, but all my thoughts is just like American. Just like there are a lot of Chinese people in so-called Chinese Americans. They were born in USA. They grew up here. So, but these people, when they go to China, when they visit China or Taiwan, they are not like Chinese. I mean, everyone can tell. They are just different. You don't share. They are just like white people or American people with a Chinese skin and body. So it's different. The thought of the entire thought behavior. Your daily behavior, your thinking patterns is all different. So anyway, but I grew up in Taiwan until I was 14. Then I lived in basically Canada mostly and USA. So So I kind of have, I see both cultures, and by the way, when I was younger, I don't like the Chinese culture at all. I'm like actively against it, because, well, because my dad, and it's a long history, it's a complex history, but I don't like, I'm like a rebel, what you might call a rebel, or young people always, many are like that. So I didn't like any of the Chinese philosophy. Like I don't like it at all. I think it's silly, stupid. I want the Western philosophy. Okay, I want individual freedom. Yes, I want logic. I want precision thinking. I don't want the Zen or Tao or Buddhism. That roundabout Tai Chi or everything is fuzzy, and there's no like precision, no logic. I want the Western. I like Greek philosophy. That was when I was young, but now I don't. I don't really. I don't think one is really better than the other. I appreciate the many Chinese thoughts now. But anyway, so back to, yeah. So I was talking about a social media website. So the Chinese, China built this, which is called Douyin, a social media website, and that, but in English speaking countries it's called TikTok. You can actually go to the website. In fact, there is a TikTok. In fact, there's also a Wikipedia page you can read. So there's an official website, and there's also Wikipedia. Oh, here. No, that's a movie. But anyway, there is a, oh, here. Yeah, here. So it's this is quite amazing because TikTok, it originates from China. So the culture and the rules, on this social platform, it's becoming very popular, especially in Western countries. It's populated by young people, a lot of them, beautiful girls and young people, but they just do fun things. So the point is that because it's from China, so it doesn't have these rules, from the Western American society like Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you grew up, if you are American, you may not know, but all those they have rules. Like there's just a certain categories that they don't allow. You never see. I'm not going to go into that in detail because these kind of things quickly then it becomes, it touches politics, then get onto other things, then the social justice, they're gonna ban me. But anyway, so TikTok, they don't have these rules. I mean, the rules are different. It's from China, and then the English version is called TikTok, and this just becomes very popular. So this Russian girl, she's talking about this funny. I find, well, she's very beautiful, and she's talking about this.
Квартирмейстер, интерьер, экстерьер, терьер.
Um,
Мне, мне
so,
посоветовали, что если я скажу
oops.
Thanks.
That's interesting. By the way, this is on my Wordy English website. If you want to go to see it, Wordy. Wordy blog. That's my website about English writing, literature, languages, linguistics, uh, related stuff. So anyway, so that's that. Let's talk about JavaScript. Wow, this is a huge branching of talking because I've been talking about this for like 24 minutes. Okay, I think let's go back to JavaScript. Good usage. Oh, of course, she's Russian. Would you call Asian people robotic? Why? I mean, how is that? Uh, Daniel says TikTok has been downloaded 80 million times in the United States. Wow, 800 million times worldwide. Are you a user, Danielle? Danielle, you are in Los Angeles, right? Yeah, I'm. about the Danielle did a pull request to fly keys. I'm so sorry, I just never got into it because there's a lot to do. I have to spend literally several hours to I mean, not just read the pull request, but also I have to get back to coding Emac Lisp. I have to get back to know all the details about Emac Lisp key binding commands. So I kind of just like procrastinated, but I'll get back to it for sure because this is my project and actually there are a lot of other people have issues. Basically in the past month, since I started to doing video, I kind of, I haven't been reading my emails, all those kind of things. I kind of delayed. But anyway, so let's get back to. I think we're gonna talk about JavaScript a little bit. Then we gonna 6 people watching. We gonna maybe talk about Scott. Scott, are you there? Are you here? Okay, so do you guys have any questions? If you have questions, just type it. Okay, you can, type anything, and maybe then we can go into that direction. Let's talk about JavaScript. Let's just JavaScript blog. Let's go to my JavaScript blog. So Danielle, so you are in Los Angeles. Yep. Um, okay, JavaScript. So I have this JavaScript tutorial I mentioned a few times. JavaScript in depth, and I started to write a JavaScript tutorial back in 2005, but back then I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm just starting to blog just a little bit about like JavaScript basics, like how do you write a loop, how do you quote string, but until 2014, I started to dive into JavaScript in depth. So I have read, all the JavaScript specs, JavaScript 2015 spec, and before that, which is called edition 5.1. Then I've also read, some of the JavaScript 2016 spec. Now JavaScript is spec is interesting. You see the name ECMAScript language specification ECMA 262 edition one. It's extremely and what's the word? Complicated? No, that's uh, uh, I've, extremely there's a word for being complicated, but I forgot what that is. Anyway, so let me explain what it is. Okay, so the official name for JavaScript, the language, the standard spec, okay, official name for the language is actually called ECMAScript. Now, the specification for the ECMAScript language, the official title is ECMA 262. That's a standard. ECMA 262 is a standard for the ECMAScript language. And the ECMAScript language is the official name for JavaScript. Okay, that's the basics. And what's ECMA? ECMA is the name of the standard organization, the organization that creates standards. So that organization's name is ECMA. So what they do, they publish standards specs for a variety of things. So one of the spec is called ECMA 262, and the subject of that spec is ECMAScript language. So it's one factor fuck. And then so they have editions 5.1, then they start to change their name to, instead of saying, well, they start to use the year, like ECMAScript 2015, ECMAScript 2016. Anyway, so that's a spec. By the way, JavaScript spec is the worst spec I've ever read. I have read the Java language spec part of it, a little, maybe 20%. Okay, JavaScript language. I have read the Scheme Lisp language spec R4 RS R4 RS or RSR4 back in 1999. I have read about half of it, at least half of it. So JavaScript spec. I have read the Python language spec. Python language spec. I've read maybe 30%. Okay. I didn't read like all the detail, but over the years, maybe 30%. So I have read EmagLisp spec. EmagLisp doesn't really have a spec, but you have a EmagLisp manual that's 1,000 pages. I've read, maybe 60%, 70% over the years. I have read the Golang spec. Golang spec is the most, the best language spec of them all, and it's very short as well. The Golang script, the writing quality, the precision, the clarity, the Go language, spec is the best of them all. And JavaScript, the spec is the worst, shit in existence. It's very complicated and it's incomprehensible. Now, JavaScript, the language itself, is also it is extremely complicated. I would say more complicated by a magnitude than all the languages, aforementioned languages. Um, but that's one thing. When you have a language that's very complicated, but the specification needs not to be very complicated. You could describe some complicated things with as long as your spec uh, may not be. I mean, the complication of the language and the complication of your spec, they are not like proportional, linear. Okay, the language can get more complicated, but the spec can be written if it's good writing. It can be still very clear. Okay, but that's not the case for the JavaScript spec. JavaScript spec is verbose and um, and the word just came to my turn, but I forgot again. So the ECMAScript spec is convoluted. That's the word I want to use. Convoluted. Okay, it's like a noodle, and it tries to be, and it's not formal neither. If you are a programmer and if you never studied math, you might think, usually programmers admire math. You think, we want to, oh, it's formal, like, they think Haskell is, but actually Haskell does is not not math formality. But anyway, so the Java language spec is pretty lousy. Okay, it's convoluted and verbose, and but let's show you example. I'm going to show you some examples. Okay, and now let's see. Okay, so I was talking about JavaScript, so I wrote this JavaScript in depth. Uh, if you don't know JavaScript, I recommend it. And let's go to JavaScript. So you see, there are like maybe 600 pages. Okay, let's go to JavaScript. Find dot name HTML. Okay, in this directory I have 700 pages. Of them, some are HTML, about HTML tutorial, some are about CSS tutorial, but the JavaScript ones is about 500 or 600 pages. So all these pages. Now, when I write them, you can see that, for example, if I go to let's say if I go to this page, array from JavaScript array from open, showing browser, you can see that there's a reference. So basically, in each paragraph, I tend to link to the reference where that that's the place where relates to what I was talking about in my tutorial. Okay, this JavaScript spec is like one huge HTML, like 10 megabytes or something. So it takes a lot of huge amount of time to load it. Okay, so this page is talking about array.from, which is a from is a property of the array function object. JavaScript is very complex. By the way, the JavaScript is the object. JavaScript is also a object-oriented language. However, the object the the object in JavaScript is entirely different from Java, Python, Ruby, C++. Okay, in those languages you have OOP, what's called class-based OOP. Okay, class-based object system, where you create classes, then you create instances of those classes, which is called a object, and so on. Okay, but that's class based object system. Now in JavaScript it's entirely different. That's one of the reasons that makes JavaScript kind of hard to dive into. I mean, even if you have like 2 years programming experience in a company working on JavaScript, I can easily ask you a question you don't know. In fact, a lot of your code is just wrong, until yeah. So JavaScript, you really have to dive into JavaScript, actually study the language, to actually understand what's going on. So JavaScript, the object system in JavaScript is actually is the name is called the system is called prototype based object system. Okay, so it's a prototype based object system. We can go into detail on how that works. If you guys want, just remind me. Okay, just type it and I'll explain. How JavaScript object system works. But anyway, back to the spec. So I had all these links almost on every page, one or more links to the spec. Back in the beginning, I put the links because partly when I'm writing tutorial, it's convenient for me to constantly click it so I can read what the spec actually says, and maybe I can improve, edit my writings so it's correct and clear and so on, and also for readers, so you have confirmation. Like when you read about this, you might think, wait, how can I trust you? How do I know you are not talking like you know what you are talking about? Well, there is a reference right there, on every page, almost every few paragraphs you can read. But actually, you know people don't read that. I noticed that actually, basically nobody go to the spec because, well, partly because the spec is just incomprehensible. Like you cannot just read the spec. It's like completely incomprehensible. I don't care how many years you have experience with JavaScript. Suppose you work at Google. Hey, Meowcat. Hey, great to see you, Meowcat. Um, let me get back to that. I'm gonna read the comments in a few minutes. So suppose you are a JavaScript coder working at Google. Uh, and suppose you have, like, let's say 2 years, coding JavaScript in Google at Google. Then you go to this page, for example. You read the spec about array.form. You wouldn't understand it. That's what I say. Uh, you can try to verify it yourself. You wouldn't understand it. I mean, in fact, you have to. Yeah. Anyway, so people don't read that, and in fact, it. So what I'm saying is that the links to the reference do not provide value to the readers actually. So I'm starting to remove them. So for example, ref, I'm going to go here and delete, show in browser, and it's gone. So I'm starting to delete them. That's what I'm doing. So that's one of the things I'm doing. So I've collected all my pages that contains reference links, There are about 200, actually there are 300. All these are already done in the past few days. So right now there are still 200 pages. So I'm just going to go to them and delete them. So that's how I work. That's what I do. How I spend my time every day. So for example, next one, array is array. So array is a property name, is a property name of the object array. The object array is a function. That's how JavaScript works. So anyway, so you see the reference here. So I search ref, delete, refresh. It's gone. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So I have a lot more to do. But basically, that's what I was going to talk about JavaScript, and that's kind of the end. I mean, so of course, so I during this time I mentioned lots of other things about JavaScript. So if you want me to go into that direction, for example, explain how JavaScript object system differs from the class-based system, or give you a overview of JavaScript object system works, I can, or I can give you a overview of the JavaScript language. So just let me know in the comments. Now let me read the comments. Let's see how long I've been going. 41 minutes. So okay, Norman says okay, so let me go to top. Yep. Oh, so Danielle, you've been on TikTok. Great. Okay, so I'm going to join too. I think that would be fun. I like to see what the new social network. So Restrope, hi Restrope. Restrope says JavaScript is kind of like Play-Doh. Don't be too sure about that. Like today's JavaScript, now they have like a new version every year. And in fact, since the 2015 version, as far as advanced language feature goes, JavaScript is is equivalent or even possibly more capable than Python, Ruby, okay, Lisp. I'm not kidding. I mean, overall, I still consider JavaScript the worst language because um, all these new versions of JavaScript, they remain compatibility to the JavaScript version 1, back in 1995. So that means all the warts of JavaScript, all the ugliness, they didn't fix. They didn't actually try to fix because they want to remain compatibility. So instead, changing things, they add things. They add things. So because of these, JavaScript remains a very uh, convoluted and complex and hard to understand language because there's lots of holes and potholes. It's extremely bad. But however, if you only consider the language as like the features, advanced features, for example, generators and interface, or the fancy things elite hacker types like to talk about, decorators, proxy, so JavaScript is no worse than actually in many, in some aspect, it's actually better than Python or Ruby. So it's very advanced, actually quite advanced language. JavaScript is today. So, for example, I have an article here. Uh, JavaScript. So ES 2015 features, where this page summarizes the major features of JavaScript introduced in the ECMAScript 2015, which came out in 2015. Now they have one new version every year. So you have 2016, 2017, 18, and this year you're gonna have 2019 new version. So they are like, JavaScript is growing incredibly fast, and they are adding a lot of things and actually pattern matching. Pattern matching, which is a feature you only find in a handful of functional languages, advanced functional languages, is coming to JavaScript. I'm not sure when. Maybe it's in 2019. I don't know yet, but it's there. Oh, and big num. Uh, anyway, anyway, this page summarizes some of the new things. It's like 2015 is a complete new language. I mean, yeah, all the syntax is it's like a complete new language, but without actually changing, the old language. So all the old language, the syntax is still there. They still works. However, they are adding a complete, new kind of thing. So you have let, which is like Lisp's let. It's a local let scope. Constant. You have arrow functions. This is great. You have function argument default value. Okay, now you have default values. Yeah, I mean that's a basic feature in Python, Ruby, and others. But so it's in JavaScript now too. Since 2015, you have REST parameters. You have destructuring assignment, which you do not have in many other languages. Yet destructuring assignment. Then you have computer property keys. You have object literal expression. Okay, then you have proto. That's getting technical. Some of these are getting technicalities of JavaScript. You have template string, which is also common in other languages, Python, Ruby, Perl. You have spread operator, which is also fairly kind of like advanced. uh, and then you have set object, you have map object, you have and so this is an overview of JavaScript 2015. So let's go back to the comments. Too busy with TikTok. JavaScript is kind of play though. I've only read C, C++, Haskell, and Rust specs. Okay, Restrop says he's read C, C++, Haskell, and Rust specs. I never read any of those. Okay, so yeah, we are like on the different side. Mostly for reference. Okay, Norman says the JavaScript spec was retrospective. Not surprising, it's a mess. Uh, Retrospective. What do you mean retrospective? You mean the language first, then they start to write spec. Well, a lot of languages like that. Well, anyway, so I mean, yeah, it's a mess. Yeah. Restrobe says such a horrible language, but used everywhere in today's web apps. Yeah. In fact, JavaScript is like it's used on desktop apps too. Nothing to do with the web. For example, the Atom editor, the Electron framework, the Microsoft VS Code. That's all JavaScript. And it's a desktop app. So that's how far JavaScript has how popular it has become. But overall, I really, it's really a bad language. I mean, seriously bad. I really wish they not to maintain the compatibility, so get rid of the old. But they don't do that. Um, so Meowcat, hey Meowcat, long time no see, man. Meowcat, we should do a video chat, you and me, man. You don't do anything. So Meowcat says just spent 48 hours playing C Lisp. That's my idea of fun before I go for sleep in studies again. Okay, C Lisp. C Lisp. That's an implementation of Common Lisp. So Restro says, yeah, JS uses this weird prototype system. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's pretty weird, but I mean, yeah, okay. So WebDog, hey WebDog, great to see you. What do you think about TypeScript? It's way better. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It depends on like what do I think of it. I mean, it's great. So TypeScript, TypeScript is a kind of a static typed language that is a layer on top of JavaScript. So or you can say it's a superset of JavaScript. So JavaScript is TypeScript. It's just. But then if you take any JavaScript code, you can start to add types. Let me go. Let's go to because I have written Java. I have used TypeScript in my Xadro application. So let's see, function plot, plasma plot. I want to work on this project, but it's just like got delayed and delayed. Let's show in Safari. So there's a TypeScript. I'm gonna show you. Oh my God, Safari is starting up. Why is it taking so long? Okay, so I wrote this in TypeScript. I mean, yeah, in TypeScript. So let's go up. This is a library for plotting mathematics curves. So I'm working on this. And okay, that one I want to show you. Character count. Let me show you that one. Yeah, let me show you two things I wrote about in JavaScript. So if you like it, spread it. Okay, help me out. Let other people know. So one is a Unicode search. I'm gonna show you, and the other one is keyboards. Let's go to keyboard character count. So if you go to my keyboard blog, then you go to layout. Now then you go to here chart frequency counter. Now this is a interactive app that plots. This is a interactive plot that counts the number of characters frequency. You see, as I type, they start to calculate. Which letter is used more. So try it, and if you like it, tell your friends. Spread. Put it on your blog. Link to it. I wrote this because I want to study, the letter frequency when you design keyboard layouts. When you want to know, um, you can also paste like the whole thing. Paste, a bunch of things. Then you're just it's computing in real time. So as you as I type, let's say TT. Why it doesn't report? You see, I type TTT and I want to hold it down and oh, I see on the Mac. Anyway, so you know it's interactive in real time. So that's one JavaScript app I've written. You can see the code. Yeah, I'm not gonna show it, but you can see it. If you want to, you can of course see the code. Then the other thing is Unicode characters. If you just search my name, Xali Unicode, you'll get to this page. So let's say hot. This is also real time. Okay, so let's wait. Select or delete. HEA. Now it shows all Unicode characters that contains the word whose name contains the word HEA. So you got all these. Let's see head. Oh, okay. So you got head. This is Chinese character for head. This is a variation, and then this you have arrowheads. You have okay. So let's try headphone. There it is, headphone. So let's try HEART. Okay, that's hot. So anyway, that's my Unicode character search. All these are written in JavaScript, and they work in real time, of course. Okay, now let's go back to TypeScript. Let's go back to So I was showing you. Let's go back to the curves, the plot. So if you For example, let's go to index. So you see that parametric plot is this page. Now I'm going to open that page, and that's that page. Then you go to, you can see I'm loading two JavaScript files here. Now this one is a library that does all the plotting stuff, SVG. This one is the actual code for this page. So if I open that, that's the code. So all you have to do is call this function parametric plot, then you know create an anchor to where you want to put it, put the plot. Then you just say this is a function, arrow function x, then map to x, and the math sine curve, sine x times x, sine squared, okay, from 0 to 7. Then it plots that. So I wrote this, and the library, let me show you the library. The library is this file. Open that. And this is JavaScript, but let's go to the directory. You can see it's over here. So it's actually TypeScript. That's JavaScript that runs on the web, but the source code is this one, TypeScript. So you can see, for example, this is TypeScript. You see this, um, so normally in JavaScript, yeah, okay, we can show you this. So let's see range. So you see these two things are the same thing. This part and this part. You see both of them define the same function, fRange. But notice in a TypeScript you have the type of the arguments. You see the argument here is just min, max, and delta. But in TypeScript you have min is a number is a type, max is a number type, delta default value is 1, and the function also returns a value, and that value is a of type array, and each array element is a number. So what you are seeing is the TypeScript. So they are like a layer on top of JavaScript. So is it good or bad? Well, I mean, it's good in that it helps because JavaScript have no types, and JavaScript is pretty convoluted. So it's very extremely easy to create programmer errors. So TypeScript helps in that way because you can add type annotations, so-called type annotations. You add types to values so that the compiler will find any type errors. It's helpful. But however, it's not really good. I mean, it's helpful for sure, but it isn't. I mean, you couldn't say it's really good because you see, JavaScript is a very convoluted language. The syntax, it's inconsistent and lots of potholes. Okay, so you begin with that. TypeScript, is intended to be just a superset, so it's 100% compatible with JavaScript. So you begin with this lousy JavaScript, then you try to add, syntax for types, to this already very lousy syntax. So it becomes more very complex. It really does becomes you almost becoming incomprehensible if you can already see a little bit of that happening. Let's see, for example, this function dot products, it's a function that computes dot product of two vectors. You can see here's the argument, then here's the type declaration. So it gets complex even for a simple function like this just one line function. So that is my opinion about TypeScript. I'm not, what can you do about it? There's almost nothing you can do because JavaScript is used on web. They don't want to, eliminate the old one. They want to remain compatible. So you have like 20 years of baggage. Then TypeScript tries to be compatible with JavaScript 100%, because you have this tug of war situation of compatibility and progress. If you go the extreme way of progress where you eliminate compatibility, what happens is like Python 3. Nobody uses, nobody want to adopt. After 10 years, only 50% adoption. So on the other hand, you maintain compatibility because of habit. People like that because people don't want to change what they know. Oh, I have to relearn everything. They like that. So, but then you got this extremely baggage, a bag of complexities, like C and C sharp sharp, C plus plus. That's that what C plus plus is the same way, but it's popular. What can you do? That's kind of like that. So TypeScript, so you have this, yeah, the fairly complex, and you have this situation, and also TypeScript, they don't introduce their own libraries. That's their decision. They decided that they're gonna like play nice, so they create this, optional type annotation on top of 100% compatible with JavaScript, and they don't add their own libraries. Like it's not like if you work in TypeScript, then you have all these libraries part of TypeScript you can use that can automatically compile to JavaScript. No, they decided, they don't do that. Instead of, they want to play nice with the so-called JavaScript ecosystem, so that the JavaScript language doesn't is not too very big. You don't have many things, so you rely on the hundreds of libraries and frameworks out there. Now, it would be nice if TypeScript creates all the deficiencies that's of JavaScript and include everything. Like the Python would say, battery included. It would be nice if you can code everything in TypeScript and just press a button, it'll compile to JavaScript. But the TypeScript decided, they are not doing that. What they do is only providing you with the type annotation for the JavaScript language. They don't provide extra libraries for JavaScript. So you still need to use all these variety, like millions of them, the libraries out there. Some are very bad, some are, you don't know about their qualities. Like I mentioned before, even the trim string function, like 5 lines, is a library. you know, uh, used by lots of frameworks. It's very bad. So anyway, so that's one thing I wish TypeScript would do. Like provide a set of, you know, standard libraries as part of TypeScript. So I don't have to, use all, random libraries out there. So I can just code my TypeScript, press a button, it compiles to JavaScript, then, then that is the JavaScript you use for the web. So that's about TypeScript. That's my opinion. So such a hard. Okay, so lots of comments. So let me go quickly over the comments, then answer some questions, and maybe that'll be it for today. Um, so are you going to? Okay, so hold on a second. So are you going to do Node.js tutorial? Restro says. Actually, I do have one already. Um, let me show you. Actually, just search Xali Node.js. I have like a very simple one-page tutorial. Okay, and so Node.js tutorial, and this is written like 5 years ago. And okay, so that's so this is written like 2013, mostly 2013, yeah, 5 years ago. but I think most of them are still valid because they don't change. I'm just covering the basics, so the basics doesn't change. It's still valid. You could try to read my tutorial. I'm pretty sure they are a lot better. This is not something I've dived very deep, but if this is your first time, it might be a good tutorial for you. But there's another one at the bottom, which is Node.js tutorial by Ryan Dow. He is the guy who created Node.js. Now this is a video, and I annotated with code, with code from his video. So you could try read this one. Again, this one is even older. Like his video is in 2011, so this is kind of like the beginning of type of Node.js. The advantage of studying this tutorial is that you get the vantage point of the beginning intentions and the purpose and goal of Node.js. Okay, so I still recommend it. I mean, even it's pretty old, I still recommend it as a introduction. This video is like 1 hour. Okay, so it's a good introduction. And this guy Ryan, okay, I need to turn on JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript is on. Let's refresh. Let's try to play. And there's two other headers. So anyway, this guy Ryan Dow is a very interesting guy. He's a mathematician. Before he started Node.js, he is a like a postdoc PhD student in math in some very advanced, some K theory, K algebra or something. So he's a mathematician. So you know, so he spent like 10 years, yeah, basically more or less 10 years studying math. He is a mathematician, and he got bored with that. And also, it's funny with the math. You math in the math field. There are a lot of people far smarter than you. I mean, there are tons of geniuses. Really, I think I'm smart, but I go into the math. There are really, a huge amount of people. They are. You don't hear them because they are. And the thing about math is it's such a beautiful subject. So you have all these, hermits. They study math so deep. They devote their life to math, but they are poor. They don't make money. They you don't hear them. You don't see them. And but programming, if you study 2 years programming, oh, you work at Google or something, you make a lot of money. You drive fancy cars. Um, so anyway, so Ryan is doing PhD in math, right? It's a poor guy, and but the subject is so advanced, it really takes you, 5-10 years to just understand just to get the idea what is it that he's studying, the math. So anyways, so he's a very interesting guy, and also he turns out becomes extremely capable as a programmer. So he works at Google now. Last I heard, 2 years ago at least, he is working on AI project at Google. So anyway, there is another video by him, not as creator Ryan Dow on software complexity, and Ryan Dow on history of JavaScript. I would recommend you read them or study them because he's a very interesting guy. So yeah, let's see. So that yeah. So I got a few links of his videos. This one on the history of JavaScript. Okay, so that's Ryan Dahl, very interesting guy, and yeah, pretty young too. Meowcat. So Meowcat. Yes. JavaScript. Okay. What do you think about TypeScript? Okay. So Norman says ECMAScript spec was probably written by committee. Companies send their worst engineers to waste their time writing it. Meowcat says, is there an improved syntax for JavaScript? Like there's a pug for HTML or Sass? Uh, yeah, there is. Back then, 10 years ago, there is the coffee script. You probably heard of, but it's kind of died, very few uses. Okay, so before JavaScript 2015, which is a huge, uh, addition, kind of an entire new language. So before 2015, even 2008, there is a coffee script. Now, coffee script is basically is a layer on top of JavaScript. Uh, no, well, it's kind of a language by itself, but it compares to JavaScript. So the idea of CoffeeScript is that it creates a new syntax that cleans, get rid of all the warts in JavaScript. JavaScript has lots of problems. So you have now a new syntax, CoffeeScript, that is kind of clean and it compares to JavaScript. So that was very popular. CoffeeScript was hugely popular. But today it's kind of almost disappeared because JavaScript 2015 came along and TypeScript came along, so and CoffeeScript kind of like disappeared, it kind of just died. So besides CoffeeScript, there are quite a few other projects that actually, yeah, a lot that compares to JavaScript. So depending on what you mean, okay. So for example, there's a Hacksaw. Let's see. Let me go to my website. It's called Kasari Language Proliferation. Proliferation of computer languages. This is an old article I wrote about all kind of new languages. Then you have factor. So there was CoffeeScript. There is Dart. Now Dart is a language created by Google. Google intends it to replace JavaScript, but nobody wants to, except those Dart creators. So it's still around, but it's not very popular. So Dart is like the syntax, and so in short, in a nutshell, Dart is like Java syntax and Java semantics. Okay, it compares to JavaScript, but basically it's like Java. I don't like it at all. Um, but back then, so this is 2011. This is before 2015. The ECMA script 2015 came out. So everyone is trying to fix JavaScript because it's really bad. So Google created Dart as one of the that's their answer. Um, um, but it didn't really go far. TypeScript is very popular today. It's one of the like top 5 languages. Because when JavaScript becomes large, when you start to have like thousands of lines, you need TypeScripts to help you. But of course, you can also use Dart. I mean, some projects do that. So there are quite a lot, and there's ASM.js, kind of complicated to explain, and Julia, and Elm. Elm is kind of a JavaScript alternative. Then Hex is also a JavaScript alternative. Uh, and in fact, many of these Elixir is also a JavaScript alternative. So actually, there are quite a lot. In fact, many of these languages, they actually a pure script is also another JavaScript alternative. Pure script is like Haskell. Okay, it's like Haskell for basically the idea is Haskell. Um, but it compiles to JavaScript. So there are quite a lot, um, uh, and in fact, a lot of languages such as Clojure and ClojureScript, OCaml, and so Clojure, Clojure, the Lisp language, they also have a version called ClojureScript, which is like Clojure syntax but compiles to JavaScript, for the web. Then OCaml language, which is a function language like Haskell, okay, OCaml and F sharp. They also have a project. I forgot what's the name. Yeah, something ML, the bug script, okay, which is basically OCaml but compiles to JavaScript. So they are, and also Golang. Golang also have a version, have a project that you write in Golang, but it compiles to JavaScript. So all these languages are doing that, and this is actually kind of movement. Because people really don't want JavaScript because it's really very crummy. So now the new movement is based on now there's another movement is called this AMS. Where was it? We just saw it before. Elixir calling C language doing what? Oh, ASM.js. So JavaScript is moving into a direction where it becomes the assembler. It becomes the assembly language where all the other higher level languages compiles to JavaScript. In fact, so JavaScript created this what's called ASM. Okay, so ASM.js, that is a subset of JavaScript. So a tiny subset, the core of JavaScript. A tiny subset, and in this subset, it's like an assembly language, so very fast. So all these other languages, they are trying to, that's the vision. Okay, so they all can compile to ASM. Then ASM, it's like assembly language. So it then ASM, compiles to machine code from the browser, by the browser. So in theory, the this idea, the idea is that every language can they compile to JavaScript. That's so that's that. Um, so let's see. So VB script. I'm gonna skip some comments because we kind of talking for 80 minutes. VB script was a far more superior language, but Microsoft never released it to the community to be standardized. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but what VB script? Oh, that's Visual Basic, like alternative to JavaScript. It never survived, I think. Like nobody uses it. So that kind of died, I think. So everyone got on the bandwagon. We should be free. Yo. Uh, so Meowcat. So am I going to write my language? I hope so. That's one of my project. I hope I can do before I die. I'm giving myself 5 more years to be able to code. I'm old, so 5 more years. I don't know if I can do it. So I'm learning compile. I've never wrote a compiler yet, so I'm trying to learn that, and so I hope to. Because I have so many criticisms about language design, so it would be great if I can and also as a great learning experience to come up with my own language, on what I think is the best language, on the syntax, on the semantics, or whatever, you know. So I hope to do that. Um, I haven't been. That's my one of my goal, but I haven't been working on that for the past half a year. I really should. Um, so, Meerkat, what are JavaScript generators? Okay, JavaScript generators. No, they are not like list macros. It's kind of complicated. Maybe we go that into that. Maybe probably next time, because that's gonna be like one topic by itself, and it's also fairly complicated. Let's take a look quickly, because I don't even remember what it does exactly. Yeah, it's very complicated. It's very technically complicated, the JavaScript generators. So I mean, let me cover it for 1 minute. Basically, from a technical point of view, a generator object is a object that conforms to both the iterator and iterable interfaces. So that is the technical meaning of generators. Okay, that is the JavaScript technical meaning. Now, what does that mean? So, in order to understand that, you have to understand iterator and iterable. And before you understand that, you have to understand what is the technical meaning of JavaScript interface. Now, remember, we are talking about technical meaning, not the. Um, I mean, for example, like in many languages, when you see the word generator, you immediately have some kind of thought. You kind of think what it is. Similarly, for the word interface or object, when you see the word interface, you think, oh, it's something something. But in JavaScript, but you can go one step further and go technical definition. In the language JavaScript, so so it's not like that. So anyway, so we're gonna not gonna go into that as today. So maybe next time because it's fairly advanced. Um, so a generator appears to be a function, but a generator is a function that can stop midway. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Thank you, Danielle. So Danielle says a generator appears to be a function, but a generator is a function that can stop midway and then continue from where it stops. Yes. Yeah, that's that's a good way to put it. Yeah, so great point. Uh, callback hell. Yeah, so a generator function. Uh, oh, so Ryan Dow, Mailcat says Ryan Dow made a video in 2018 with the 10 things he regretted about Nod. I'm glad he's still around because he was gone for a while. Oh wow, I didn't know that. I'm gonna thank you, Meow. I'm gonna check it out. Oh yeah, so this is great. I'm gonna check it out because I admire his work. Very capable programmer and CoffeeScript looks clean. I see they have CoffeeScript too. Oh wow, they have CoffeeScript too. There's a guy Christian something who wrote a list that compiles to LL and to solve chemistry problems. That L, what is that? So okay, so anything else? I think maybe it's a good time to call it the end for the today's talk because it's 80 minutes. Kind of like people need to go to pee. I need to go to pee. So yeah, because we talked about JavaScript. That's a great talk. I think that's a good talk about JavaScript. So Danielle says message retracted. By the way, what does that mean? Does that mean you typed something and like you hit delete? Uh, so I think that's it for today, guys. 7 watching. So JavaScript. So we didn't get to Golang. That's okay. So today is just focused on JavaScript. So thank you for guys for coming. Meow, send me an email, okay? Let me know your because I forgot your name is hard to search, So you are hard to catch. So thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.